Bruce from Houston, Texas, driving through Chicago, listening to WCPT, says, you're a capitalist and you want to debate me on the capital gains tax?
Yes, the capital gains tax rate should be an absolute zero.
Okay, you're a capitalist. Tell me about your capitalism.
No, well, first off, I'm a venture capitalist. I'm a private equity. Make private equity investments, and I also operate and own companies. And as a result of my investing money that has already been taxed at the ordinary income rates the first time that I earned it, you now are asking me to take a risk to invest in other businesses that employ people, that create growth, create jobs, and create economic prosperity.
Yes, and let me ask you a question, Bruce.
And wait, let me finish. That money not only has already been taxed, when I invested in a business, that business itself pays income tax.
Yeah,
So,
Bruce, you have so much sympathy for me. My heart is bleeding for you. Let me ask you a simple question. When I get a paycheck, my money has already been taxed. So because my money has been taxed, and also I own my own business, and the business has paid a tax on its income. So, my business has paid a tax, I pay a tax, so my money has already been double taxed. So when I go out and buy something, should I not have to pay sales tax?
Sales tax is a completely separate tax from an income tax. Frankly, I wish we.
Well, how is it different, Bruce? If I go to a restaurant and I have a really nice dinner and I get a lot of pleasure out of that, I get something back for that money, but I have to pay a tax on that. Or if I take that same money and I put it in the stock market and I make back a little money, and then I have to pay a capital gains tax on that. I don't see why the fact that money. In fact, if you can identify for me, Bruce, any form of money that you or I have ever had in our lives that wasn't previously taxed, you win the argument.
Well, it's easy. You're talking about tax multiple times. The first answer is if you have money that's been taxed and you inherit money, if you're a surviving spouse, you get it tax-free.
If you inherit money, that money had been taxed when it was earned.
Correct.
And that money was earned from a company that probably paid taxes on the money, and that company got that money from customers who had paid income tax when they bought the products. There's this totally specious argument that because
your argument is an invidious comparison, because sales tax has nothing to do. That is a tax at consumption. That is not a tax on capital at investment level.
What? So what?
So what? It makes an enormous difference.
No, it makes no difference at all. Listen, Bruce. Let me just play a clip for you. Here is the guy whose logic I'm following. Okay, here he is.
We're going to close the unproductive tax loopholes that have allowed some of the truly wealthy to avoid paying their fair share. In theory, some of those loopholes were understandable, but in practice, they sometimes made it possible for millionaires to pay nothing, while a bus driver was paying 10% of his salary, and that's crazy. Do you think the millionaire ought to pay more in taxes than the bus driver, or less?
Now, what Reagan did in 1985, was he lowered the top tax rate down to 28%. He raised the capital gains rate up to 28% because Reagan said that people making money with their minds or their hands should not pay a lower or higher tax rate than people making money with money. And you're arguing to me that you're making money with money, which you just happen to have because after tax money, sure, but it's your money. You making money with money is somehow so superior to my making money with the labor of my mind here on this radio program that I should pay an income tax on the money that I take as in my salary, but you should not pay an income tax on the money that you take from investing money. That seems to me, to quote Ronald Reagan, crazy.
No, you actually. I'm very familiar with Ronald Reagan. You've taken that quote of his completely out of.
I am absolutely not, Bruce. Go back and look at the record. He made several speeches on this issue, and he, as I said, he equalized. It's the only time in the 20th century, or actually the only time since World War I, that the capital gains tax and the earned income and tax were identical. He raised the capital gains tax to 28%. It had been at 20%, and he lowered the top income tax rate. At that point, it was at 50%. He lowered it down to 28%. So they were the same for about 12 months.
But you added one. You just pointed out one critical point of the analysis, and that is the tremendous lowering of the income tax rate. There was a slight raise in the capital gains tax rate, but an enormous cut in the income tax rate.
Right, and that has led to the evisceration of the middle class and to enormous wealth at the top. Yeah.
Right. No, the situation. Well, first off, that's a whole other issue. The fact is that there is no such. This enormous wealth at the top is actually a misnomer. If you look at the IRS data by Social Security number by individuals, you will find that there is a tremendous migration. People earn lots of money some years, earn very little money other years. It goes back and forth. It is not a static...
You know, Bruce, there are 10 guys on Wall Street last year who earned over $2 billion each. And because of the carried interest loophole, which is considered capital gains, they paid a maximum income tax of 20% on that money. Do you really think anybody can do anything that is worth $2 billion, and if they do, they should pay only a 20% income tax rate when a bus driver can pay up to 39%?
Honestly, I couldn't care. I have no problem with that. How many millions of people were employed as a result of the companies in the business?
I would say those banksters probably threw 5 or 6 million people out of work. Look at the great crash that those banksters caused in 2008.
As I say,
but back to the original argument, Bruce. You're making the argument. I'd like you to try and make this one more time in this context. I work using my mind doing this radio show. I'm paid to do this by my own company, but I'm paid to do this, and I pay income tax on that money. You work by taking money that you have earned or inherited, doesn't matter, by taking money, after-tax money that you have, and investing it. And you get a return on that investment, and that's how you make your living. Why is the way that you make your living so superior to the way that I make my living that you should pay no income taxes and I should pay 39%?
That's an easy question to answer. What if my investment was owning a broadcast company that allowed you to have the job to make the money that you earned? Then the tax that I would pay would be an ordinary income tax on the...
Bruce, are you really so unaware of how business works that you think...
I wouldn't pay capital gains on it.
Bruce, are you so unaware of how business works that you genuinely believe that the only reason somebody would buy or own a radio station is because they got their money tax-free?
You're completely missing my point, deliberately, but that's okay.
Well, apparently I am.
No, the issue is the act of investing.
There's nothing noble or special about investing.
That's what creates prosperity in this country.
No, I'm sorry. What creates prosperity in our economy, Bruce, is people buying things. You, as an investor, and people who own businesses like me with this radio show, we make money because people buy things. People listen to our sponsors, and they buy things.
But
they're the ones who are making the money.
Things without employment. Look at what's going on with this abomination of an economy. People do not have money without employment and jobs and growth.
People don't have employment without demand. If there's no demand in an economy, nobody's going to start a business.
Nobody's going to start it right now. Nobody's going to start a business with the risks to capital posed by Obama and the Democrats.
Oh, give me a break, Bruce. That's the most pathetic Republican talking point. First of all, corporate taxes are at the lowest they've been in 60 years. Individual income tax rates are absurdly low. I mean, you compare this with the Great Prosperity from the 40s to the mid 80s, when the top tax rate was above 50%, was above 70%, and we had a solid economy. We had 4 decades of growth of over 3.2% GDP, decade to decade. That has never happened before or since. So, you know, we're looking at the tail end of Reaganomics here, but you're still trying to assert that rich people investing is what creates jobs. And I'm telling you, rich people investing are what exploits labor. It is the people who are working in the companies that you are investing in who are producing the wealth that you are taking out of those companies and so nobly saying you should not pay income tax on.
Those companies,
but you want those workers to pay tax, right?
Without capital. Without capital to invest, there is no...
That's... Okay.
You're
Bruce,
listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
We're getting into totally circular logic here. Bruce, look up worker-owned cooperatives. You don't need capital to start a business. Or look up entrepreneur in the dictionary.